Hey, we're almost ready for the beach day. Are you looking forward to going to the beach?
I can't wait, frankly.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
I think, I've never gone to the beach before.
Really?
No, that's a lie. I was trying to say something interesting.
This is Persona 5. That's not possible.
Okay, fair enough. So anyway, we're going to have a fun day at the beach. But first we've got to prep up for that because you can't just go to the beach. You can't just go to the beach with your friends. You have to talk about it for
Well, Futaba has been, a shot in for like 2 years now, so we only got like a couple days to fix that. I think the progress has been pretty good, so
I mean, I think we're doing all right with the progress. I mean, it's only been 2 days, so that's all it takes. I mean, we already changed her heart, so.
Of course. I mean, well, we didn't actually do too much of anything. I mean, really, what happened in that previous storyline? I want to do like just a real quick review of exactly what was going on. So basically, we found out that Sakura was taking care of another teenager the entire time, secretly. And not just secretly to the main character, but secretly to apparently everybody in the entire neighborhood. Maybe like also all the women he was dating. Everybody?
Including
to the point that it
support.
Seemed like he might have, like he was being investigated for child abuse or something?
Yeah, something like that. Child endangerment, maybe just shutting her out from the world. Yeah.
Did he actually like formally adopt her? It's like, how is he allowed to like take care of the well, anyway, and it's just like that by itself would be pretty wild. Would be a pretty wacky, just coincidence this entire time. But of course, then we also find out that she's a super hacker who is apparently also the founder of the major antagonists we're fighting in this arc. And by coincidence, she also has her mother, who was apparently the premier authority on like the metaverse that we used to do our whole like Phantom Thief thing in the first place. And by coincidence, she was also potentially murdered by let's just be honest, it's probably the same person who got me into this whole situation in the first place. It's like this entire arc has been like, are they just giving up with the writing at this point in time? I'm honestly wondering.
It's weird because they have more characters to choose from, and more of the characters are pretty decently written at this point. We got Ryuji and Sakura, and I mean, Makoto's all right. So we got three characters.
Yusuke has his moments.
Is well written for an annoying person. So, and then the main character is just this black hole of nothingness, this void that's also a fount of charisma.
Black hole of charisma at the same time that he's a font of one. And eye candy, Yusuke is terrible. But it's like you think, why do we have to throw every single like important character thing onto Futaba and just it's like just happened to be 20 meters away from you the entire time?
Yeah, just
I honestly wonder. It's just like it must be in the stuff. Like I'm not willing to be like this is ridiculous just yet because I feel like they're probably going to do something in the story to try and justify it, right? I don't know how you would do that, but I mean I guess. Maybe it's like maybe it's not all just a coincidence. Maybe it's like no, you thought that Sakura taking care of you was just a coincidence? Well, I'll have you know that it's like if you have access to the metaverse, the collective subconscious, you can figure out pretty easily who else has access to it or who else, even before they know themselves. That would actually make sense if you're just like, and if that person is an adult, if you just like Shido, I assume, because it's like it's got to be Shido. It's like, I just make them join my team, give them a very lucrative offer, and if they refuse, if they have a palace, they get shut down. If they don't, they run into an unfortunate accident like Futaba's mom did. And it's just like, and then what do you do with Futaba? Well, I mean, it, already had somebody on the scene who knew her very well. The most trusted associate, Sakura. It's just like kids, on the other hand. Just like if you find out that they have some sort of sensitivity to the metaverse, it's just like all you gotta do is just engineer a very specific sort of event to happen. And then they also go under the person who Shido trusts most, Sakura's care. And maybe, I mean, it's like I can imagine that just like you can't find people to assassinate children. It's like
so
you
now
can't
we
just
get-
put them in jail or something, and then it's just like we're gonna find out that Sakura is gonna be betraying us eventually. Maybe this is basically, as I was making this episode, I'm just like, how can you possibly justify this storyline at this point?
I mean, it's so convoluted and so boring and simple at the same time. It's like nothing interesting ever happens except like maybe at the final gates of the final boss of the palace. Also,
No, the palace themselves I think are all pretty great.
I do think, like, we were discussing this script before this, and I mean that was clearly just a joke. They were teasing the reveal and then they didn't do it. I mean, it wasn't very funny or subtle, but it was like some nice slapstick there.
Reveal of what?
Like, they were teasing the reveal of Futaba in this one too. Like, I think that was the bit that they were doing.
Man, yeah, I mean, I don't even like, but we never actually got the reveal. Whatever. It's like let's just go with that's another just like we put in a scene so that this game is 100 hours long sort of scene.
Yeah. Also, cognitive science, that always just is like so dumb. I'm just like, shut up. Oh, don't you spent 2 seconds trying to name that, didn't you?
It's not inaccurate to the Japanese thing, which is just kind of a nonsense made-up word too, of the same sort of variety.
That's what I figured. Yeah. Actually, I think
pseudoscience.
I'll
I'll give them some points for that. I don't know. But yeah, that actually reminds me. Speaking of Futaba and reveals, that it's just like there was also, coincidentally, her name was Alibaba, and she used an avatar very similar to Morgana, and that didn't actually go anywhere.
It went nowhere. Apparently, wasn't it like the original, like 1001 Nights or something? There was some kind of apparent like connection there, but then they just completely didn't do anything.
Yeah. Alibaba, his most trusted slave girl, was named like Morgiana.
Okay.
And then she was like a big part of the entire story. And again, like the avatar, it's like you can't just. But that was so bizarre that just went nowhere at all.
Yeah, I mean, and if this was a really well written game, or even if it was just like mediocre, like you could be like, well, what were they trying to say with that? But you know what they were trying to say. They were trying to say, we've got to pad this out, so let's make something up that sounds like it's like important, but isn't. It turns out that we do nothing with it.
I don't know, but it's just like this entire plot line so far. Like I said, coincidentally taking care of another character. Coincidentally, Mother was the foremost authority. Coincidentally, also the founder of the major. Actually, wouldn't you even call Medjed the major antagonist of the last arc?
I guess. I mean, they're the major antagonist in that they technically were working against the protagonists. I mean,
that was. I would almost say that it was Futaba, but it's just like
Futaba's
they couldn't
like,
have it be just Futaba because they can't let their characters do anything even somewhat morally questionable.
It was Futaba versus Self, maybe. I don't know. I mean, if you...
Yeah, I mean, it's true. The real thing with that last storyline was the real thing was that it was helping Futaba accept her mother's suicide, and that it wasn't her fault, which was actually very easy to do considering she got murdered.
Yeah.
It's a very, very simple shortcut to getting over trauma when you find out that it definitely wasn't your fault.
Oh, it was
Somebody
actually
else
just
did
aliens. It was actually just, I mean, anytime you could just say it was actually just, and then the thing is just some intrinsic factor you had no power over. I mean, that's convenient.
The conspiracy is real.
Yeah.
As it turns out.
It's like
you were right the entire time.
It's like going to a 12-step program and realizing that the higher power was just, oh, you were the person who you murdered my mother or something.
That the higher power was actually that somebody was breaking into your house at night to shove alcohol down your throat.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's just like, it was Jeff. Jeff was doing that. No, I shouldn't have given him my keys.
I should not have let him open that window. I mean, I guess he owned the building, so I guess I didn't control that, and I had narcolepsy, so I couldn't really, I had to go to sleep. I had to sleep 10 hours a night. So
an
there's nothing I
extremely
can do.
convenient amnesia whenever I woke up. Just
Yeah.
like Persona 5. So that you couldn't remember exactly who it was that was doing this to you until now.
Like, sometimes they talk about like idiot plots, like, plots that only work because all the main characters are idiots. So first of all, Persona
Yeah, that
5
was an
is
old
obvious.
old Ebert thing.
Ebert, yeah, okay. So clearly that's the case for this, but they also will just do every other kind of like oh well, everyone is, it's like a virtuous plot. Everyone was so virtuous that that it couldn't have been, or all the main characters were so evil, or all the villains were so evil, and you just forget something sometimes. You forget two years of things. Things stop being true. Just there's no commitment.
Of course, something that's been happening the entire game, the Phantom Thieves just continuously getting more popular for no reason.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, I guess that's I guess everyone is just really predisposed to like you. I mean, it's a charismatic plot.
It's just things I said this like 30 episodes or so ago, where I was crafting that whole like theory about like in this game things just kind of happen.
Well, yeah. I mean, things happen for the convenience of the plot.
They don't
Instead of
really
the characters
necessarily
doing
connect
things.
to each other in one way or another, and that's why it's just the golden child of plot-related stuff just happened to fall right into our hands. Was actually living with our adoptive dad right now. The entire time, 20 meters away from you the entire time.
Oh, and that charismatic boy detective is just stopping by. Because, well, I guess Side recommended it.
No, yeah, he does work with Sai, so.
I mean, it's not completely ridiculous that he would be showing up.
But I don't even remember exactly why Sai was investigating Sakura in the first
That's
place.
a good point.
It was something about Futaba, but I don't really I don't remember.
We've completely forgotten. We tried to before the episode, we were trying to figure out, okay, what exactly was that thing where she was investigating Sakura? Like, what did he do wrong? But we couldn't think of it because
I mean, he's secretly keeping a kid, but does that mean that he didn't actually adopt her and she was just been living there? What?
So why is it all right for her to be out now and about? Like, is it because she's more normal? She's not clearly suicidal or whatever. She's not completely shutting herself out. So it's all right. Oh, she's just normal. Oh, okay. We
didn't ask for your life story, Goro, but. But I mean, we're also talking about this scene here, where it's just like, this would also be a good time for main character can't talk, but at least Futaba could say something.
Well, I mean, it is realistic that she'd be still shy right now. That's fine. I mean,
true.
A little bit.
It's just like if they're trying to show how much she's come before to be taken down by another hacker. Why are you not just assuming that the Phantom Thieves have magical cross internet powers? Because nobody knows what they do.
And that was side.
But going back to the whole were they actually the real antagonists? It's like we don't even know if they were capable of certainly everybody was taking them seriously. But it's like we don't even know if they were capable of doing the things that they were promising. Futaba didn't seem to think so. It's just we didn't even get any sort of and then when they were revealed, that did not shed any more light on it, certainly, because it was just some guy.
Also, translation note, was Ace Detective actually just the same as the Ace that is used in Ace Attorney and so on?
I do not know. Well. In Japanese, Ace Attorney is actually called Gyakuten Saiban, Turnabout Court.
Okay.
So it's not not the same thing.
Wow, did not know that.
That
does make sense why all the cases were called Turnabout, City or whatever.
Oh, I did not know that they did that. Why'd they keep that, but they didn't keep the name of the...
Well, I mean, the Turnabout thing is really... I mean, I think that probably is just not as cool as Ace Attorney. Ace Attorney is a great name.
I mean, you remember that it's just the original game was... Phoenix Wright was very prominent on there, but of course then Phoenix Wright was not the star of every one of the games.
Mm-hmm. And
so they just kind of slowly... It's like a Blood Omen, Legacy of Kain style thing.
Mm-hmm. And they keep.
I'm sure
they
somebody
keep
that's
getting
watching this
popular.
series knows what I'm talking about.
They got 1% more popular from doing nothing, or because of Mishima,
Yeah, I mean, it's...
who is just not even like he's just completely on the outside.
We started out with like 12% of people even believing that the Phantom Thieves exist. But I mean, hey, at least it makes sense now that it's like people are... I don't know if I would say that it's just like it would make sense that, you know, high school students are getting really into the Phantom Thieves. I guess because they're like really big fans of Justice Against Plagiarism in the classical artistry world. But
You wouldn't steal a car.
at least people look. Everybody did take, regardless of what else was happening with Medjed. People did very much take them seriously. So it's like, hey, at least it makes sense that it's just like these guys are worldwide names now.
Yeah. It's
Not so
weird
much
that they-
before this, but you know, like, hey, Persona doesn't think about that. Why should we?
Yeah. It's weird that this game seems to, like, the teenagers seem to be, like, set in, like, the mid-2000s, late 90s. I mean, just the way that they act. I mean, they don't have, like, the modern smartphones or something. But then they're all in on copyright enforcement. Like,
They love it.
they
Yeah,
hate
I mean, it's like
plagiarists,
they
hate,
sit around the TV watching the local news,
yeah.
afternoon local news.
Uh-huh.
The main character, I keep saying that, so it's just like main character does order from shopping network channels.
Mm-hmm. This feels like animal cruelty, what they're doing. Yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you.
Well,
That-
I mean, Sakura is being the reasonable person here. It's just like we all know that Morgana's an asshole.
yeah, that's true.
I mean, Morgana is a cat, but you know, that does not excuse it.
Yeah, all cats are assholes. That doesn't give you a right to be cruel to them.
However, we know a lot more about Morgana than compared to normal cats.
Uh-huh. Okay. Morgana, maybe you don't have to be standing in them. Because you're sentient.
Yeah, it's like, why are you even here?
Yeah. Yes, you're clearly well merchandised.
Yeah, you are very toyetic.
Yeah.
You are the like prominent the character that I would make some form of like plushie and or logo or something out of.
Honestly, for all this game has problems with, I would definitely like buy a Morgana plushie at some point. I wouldn't like be a.
Oh, he's adorable. But
Yes.
I still say that it's just like I like a lot of stuff about this game. You're talking about like the palaces earlier. You remember like the Kaneshiro Palace? How it's just like it was so they had so many like different things around there that just
We're
looked
talking
really
about the-
cool related to how like the bank looked. And then when you got deep into the bank, it looked like a gigantic tumbler lock.
Oh,
Come
wow,
on, that was
really
some good
cool.
design.
Oh yeah, the designers did a great job with this game, and the writers, editors, whatever, y'all need to
Composers,
keep-
absolutely. The soundtrack is just full of bangers, nonstop
Yeah.
bangers.
Last Surprise is such a great song.
Last surprise. I mean, talking about the Kaneshiro Palace, Price is great. I mean, even the Futaba one, I would say I wasn't that much of a fan of. I still listen to it outside of playing this game.
Yeah, the like the Futaba Palace was pretty nice. I mean, again, like a lot of it comes down to like just how like they do the insulting. Like they give you a box of dialogue every time you like walk anywhere in all the palaces. It's like it's just silly.
The unique dialogue for every single switch we pressed was just
Yes.
that was the turning point where I'm just like I'm not transcribing the palaces anymore.
Yeah.
I cannot stand seeing them try and just painfully explain exactly how the most basic video game puzzles that like in your OG Zeldas
You know,
would
a lot
just
of games don't
figure out without
really,
even needing to be told.
like we've played
Push
games,
the button.
We played games that literally had no words explaining the puzzles. Like The Witness, it had like one button for press the button and then one button for release the button, and you could do everything. With
Hey,
that.
it's an
And
anime
we did.
cutscene. You knew it was coming.
God damn it!
One thing I do like about this though is Ryuji getting a popsicle butter.
That was, yeah.
Something about that amuses me a lot.
It's Ryuji too. It's like he's the perfect character to do that for.
It's so stupid, but I mean, you know. Also, something that I really noticed, like, watching this section in particular, is that it's just like, despite the fact that Anne's supposed to be like the hot one or whatever, every one of the characters has the exact same body.
Mm-hmm.
Thigh gap.
Wow.
It's just, why do they do this?
What does that represent when Ryuji like loses the popsicle stick altogether?
His dick just fell off.
'Cause-
Like, what did you want me to say?
I don't know.
Also, hey, speaking of which, anyway, hey, main character actually talked there for like one line.
Wow, I totally missed it, and now we'll never find out.
I mean, he says stuff like during battles and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Showtime Misero. But, you know, as we've seen, speaking of, like, you know, going back to the Futaba storyline right now again, remember the one scene where it's just like they just played the scene, but Futaba was listening to it on a recording devices? They just played the scene back over again, except they removed the main character's dialogue part. Like, I just wanted to bring that up again because I think that just like that is so delicious.
Yes.
Where it's like it just encapsulates every like issue that I have with Persona, where it's like they show a scene and then they show somebody watching the scene, but they take out the main character's dialogue.
Yeah. There's something absurd about that.
It's just it's amazing.
So, what is her staple food? I'm sorry.
Some sort of diet.
Okay.
Like, to be honest, that's probably something I should have paid attention to more, but I'm pretty sure it's just like prepackaged ramen type of stuff.
Okay. Why is Yusuke covering his body?
I don't know. He's just got very fair skin. That's a good question, and that's just something that he does, but I don't think there's an explanation for it.
Okay, that's fair.
And staring directly at us. She knows.
And from The Office.
It's just, I didn't even notice that until right now, but it's just like, Jesus Christ, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not entirely sure what a banana boat is.
It was something in basketball that I should have paid attention to. I think it's a boat where there's like 3 people and it's shaped like a banana and you like can sail on it or something. Or you can row it. Or like you pedal on it.
Would that be something fit for the ocean? Wait, are we at the ocean? Yeah, we're at the ocean. Right?
I'm sure this isn't literally like, it's not like the edge of the continental shelf and like you're in the Pacific Ocean as soon as you like, go 200
True,
feet
we are
out.
talking about Tokyo here.
Yeah.
Kind of pretty landlocked.
Yeah. Also, there's 6 of them, so are they doing 2 banana boats? Is that... No,
We
they're
only
just doing
rented one, because, you know,
Okay, fair enough.
we gotta have the scene where they go and try and hit on girls, another staple of the
Yeah.
Persona series.
Uh-huh.
We'll do that next episode. I was thinking maybe we'd do that this episode, but at the same time, it's just like, we gotta get first off, episode 69 is coming up, and it's gonna be released on 420.
Yeah, we're actually doing it.
We're doing it. We're gonna get super high, and no,
No.
I've never had marijuana before.
I have, but it's we're just not cool enough. Here in the greater Midwest.
Look, we're not in college anymore. We don't know where to get marijuana anyway.
I didn't even know.
I didn't even when I was in college.
Uh-huh. We were that uncool.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
We were even bigger dorks than these fucking characters on screen.
And these characters are huge dorks.
Except for Ryuji. Ryuji's fine.
I mean, he's still a huge dork, though.
He's,
Unfortunately.
yes.
He deserves more
We're gonna
respect.
steal in reality, girls.
Reach in Scorpion style and wrench him out of the chest.
Uh-huh.
So, whatever. If that got us more gameplay, I would have been happy to see it. This ain't exactly the new Yakuza game, where they incorporate RPG mechanics into what is ostensibly real life.
Is there actually an RPG mechanic? Have you gotten
It's
that far?
pretty wacky.
Okay, well,
Like
I'm
it's
not
the sort
sure
of game that
looking
it's just
forward
like
to that.
I
It'll be a nice
would
change of
actually
pace.
consider playing, but it's also super long, and we're already doing a very story heavy. Blah blah blah. Look, I don't want to put more stuff on the plate.
Okay, fair enough.
It looks pretty great though. To be honest. Yeah, this happens in every Persona game. I don't know why.
Huh.
It's just whatever. Like the exact same thing where they get rejected by everybody too. It's that guy's way more tan, even though he looks exactly like Ryuichi. Okay, now this is just a bad setup entirely.
Yeah. She would rather walk into the sea.
If she just turned around and started walking to the sea, that'd be great.